Hi, today we have with us one of the former students, Kapil Bharath, graduated in CFL in 2015. He's back here nearly after 6 years, 7 years now. He's joined multiple companies. Now he's joining Amazon, the Kindle division. And during this break, I've asked him to come and spend time with the students of CFL. And I'm recording this video to share his experience. The idea is this, that we want our students to be very successful, not just in getting into a college, even after they get into college. Kapil is one good example. So let's learn from him. So, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful to you that you've come back.
My pleasure.
So, tell us how your experience, your time at CFL, has helped you in engineering and the days ahead.
Well, if I had to put it in a single sentence, I'd like to begin by saying it was groundbreaking. The reason why I feel so strongly about it, even after having graduated from CFL 7 years ago, is primarily from a mindset difference. It's no surprise that the Indian education system is quite dated in certain ways, and it's quite hardbound in the ways of its teachings, and it stays very conservative in the matters of actually being taught anything to actually apply yourself in the real world. Now, where CFL has really come into the picture and to me personally has transformed me is primarily in the way CFL makes me think or apply a different mindset to tackle problems in life. It could be as simple as a simple maths calculation or a physics problem on gravity or something along those lines, which people typically encounter day to day. But it's about filling in the gaps of what the problem is, how do you perceive it, what are the gaps that are missing, which are all aspects that is the case in real life. Nothing is ever served you on a silver platter and say this is how it is and go ahead and solve it with all the values given. You have to fill in the gaps and you need to apply yourself. That's what I feel engineering colleges typically teach, and before even getting into the realm of that, CFL has I'd like to say brought in that mindset which prepared me for all the challenges that lay ahead. It's the way of thinking which I feel has given me an edge, certainly, and given me the opportunity to actually bring out a different self of me, and I'm truly grateful for that.
So, Kapil, I've been saying to the students, the world is, whether you're in administration, whether in engineering, whether in medicine, the world is looking for problem solvers, not looking for an education.
Right.
You can use your education to solve problems in the world.
Yeah.
That being said, when you were in CFL, you had classes from GGP and you were given very advanced problems. Did those really Olympiad level problems help you in any way?
It comes back to the way of thinking in a certain way, but the harsh reality is that when you get into college or when you actually look at the world from a corporate sense, I would definitely say no. The problems that you solve are something that you probably will not encounter in your day-to-day life, but also it gives you an understanding of where humanity or mankind has pushed to kind of be able to teach that to Indian students. The reason why I mention this is the love for science is what is so profoundly and profusely expressed in 11th and 12th standard. I'm pretty sure no other country in the world has, maybe a few other Asian countries has such a a deep dedication to the sciences, but to us in many ways it still feels backward. Why are we going through all of this at such a young age? I wouldn't go so far as to say that I felt the direct effect of having solved those questions, because I didn't really see that being applied in real life. But it kind of comes back to the point where there are problem statements out there which at the beginning of kind of receiving the statement, I would have absolutely no idea on where to begin. But it's about knowing that these are the kind of challenges which excite me as a problem solver.
Sure.
And being excited and ready to take such a challenge head on. So that's where, just like I would in 11th and 12th, to actually go and find those solutions through hook or by crook, is the same kind of philosophy and ideology I would apply in any sphere of life. It kind of gave me that confidence that even if I did not know what I had to do for a certain problem statement, I was still equipped with firstly the mindset and the perseverance to kind of push through any mental barriers and apply that in any sphere of life, be it personal or even intellectually or on job.
So, Kapil, your mom was a physics teacher, and you had classes here from GGP and Ashok Madiyal, and how were they different for you from your other experiences?
In a single statement, I always like to begin with that is night and day.
Okay.
Night and day, because nothing that is taught here, or at least the environment of solving problems or bring that into the focus, is a complete 180 on how boards or PU colleges and the way education is taught there. There is a curriculum, and the problem set go around that, or a subset or an add-on to it, where the focus is, okay, the theory is what is really what we are going to be teaching you, and if you get to apply the knowledge, that's great, but that's not what we are really in. So it's just about making you aware of such things exist, but not much else. On the other side, we could have as little as 5 or 10 topics in CFAL, but the sheer brutality of having to solve questions so deep, which I probably will not see in a lifetime, is just the kind of mindset that I feel the likes of my mom, me coming to her, like I remember in 11th and 12th, whenever I used to have a physics doubt, I would come to her saying, hey, you're a physics teacher, there is this question on electrostatics, can you help me out? And she'd go through the question and she would have this very blank look saying that this is not my cup of tea. I'm going to have to very politely reject that this is now what I am been exposed to, because it's making a transition from your traditional education to a CFL mindset or a mindset of problem solving is not an overnight transformation. So the CFL essentially, more than anything else, is like giving the tools to all these young minds, saying that we're going to give you this way of looking at life from a very analytical standpoint, and then with all the passion and dedication that you have in whichever field that is, we're going to apply these traits and prosper.
So we have this challenge with Kapil. So even in 7th grade, when I look for a math teacher, when I recruit them and I do the interview, it's like, hey, it's so 7th standard, it's too low for me. But when I ask them to use the book and I start solving, like, this is too hard for me. This is the problem that we constantly face, even in foundation.
Right.
So you've been to NIT Surat, you've done your mechanical engineering, but then you moved to CS. Tell us your experience. Why?
That's a tricky one, because I'm not sure what kind of an example I'd be setting with my story, but unbiased. For me, so there comes a time in every 11th and 12th standard student, as they kind of get closer and closer to getting to college, that they have to make a decision, and that decision always has two sides to it. Do I choose the brand value? Do I choose the area of my interest?
Exactly.
And more often than not, the stars don't typically align, and they'll have to make a compromise of sorts. And the same was the case with me as well. For me, what I had going for me is that I had an undying passion burning inside me for computer science. Like, I knew this right from 8th standard that this is where I want to be having a career in, no doubt about it. So in any way, shape or form, if there was a challenge that blocked me from it, I knew that at the worst case I could still be a self-taught engineer and then make my way. So with that kind of a confidence, which at least I've seen a little rare with the kind of education and what students have been exposed to, for me the choice really became, how do I complement my passion with other aspects which people typically go out for college for? Because my baseline was, do I need to bother going to college if I can learn everything on my own? Because that's what I've been doing until then. So personally, the choice that I made was, I could not get into NIT CS, NIT KCS, but I did see the brand value allure to kind of say that, hey, this is like giving you a pedestal in a certain way.
True.
And then you have to put your additional efforts to make it work. So I took that eye candy in certain ways, knowing that I had the confidence that even if I was not in NIT KCS, I could still make it. So having said that, I did take a gamble with NIT KMEC. And full disclosure, I did suffer through college because I had to kind of live a double life. But personally, I was able to greatly benefit from the brand value of NIT. But having kind of led that double life and see the unnecessary tension that it brought in, the fact that I had to do what I love and had to do something to kind of sustain the fact that I had to get a degree at the end of the day. If I had to go back and do it all over again, I would not choose the same. Primarily because as someone who's kind of been in this high pressure environment in 11th and 12th, you do need time for yourself to grow, not just intellectually but also emotionally and mentally. And for that, you need time for yourself to introspect, and that's something that I found. Me pushing those aspects of my life to the side just to make sure that I was on the grind, I didn't fall off the wagon, and made sure that I got to the end. Somehow I was able to kind of make both ends meet, and after starting my career in software engineering, I was able to kind of then take time for myself and then really let loose. But if I were to kind of give any advice to any young men and women out there who are in the same situation, you get a lot of perspective and experience being around people who follow the same passion as you. So though I did NIT KMEC, all 4 years of my college, the reason why I was able to come out of both CFAL and NITK as a success story is internally within NITK, all that I did day in, day out is hang around with the computer science group, the alumni, the professors, and basically create that connection by myself. I removed all barriers and anyone who came in my way to make sure that I got that much needed alumni network and connections. So in that regard, through the clubs, through my seniors and the professors, I was able to kind of have a strong enough backing from NITK itself who were open enough that, oh, you're from mechanical, doesn't matter, we'll still support your journey because you feel so passionate about me. And I was able to make that work. But again, the emphasis here is that I was the one who had to do all of that by myself.
Yes.
To make it work. Yeah. So and that's not always a given. More often than not, you see the majority of people who enter college still being completely unsure on where they want to progress in their career. They may have no idea at all, and in that moment of hesitation, you tend to do very stupid things. And having brand value is a very stupid thing if it's at the cost of doing what you love.
Yes.
Because you may have, let's say, maybe a step above the rest if you were to choose brand value at the best case. But at the worst case, what would end up happening is you get into this negative mindset of following the crowd, and you lose yourself in the process. And the next thing you know, you're 2 or 3 years into your career doing something which doesn't even make you feel like getting out of bed.
Yeah.
And then one day it hits all of us saying, why am I here? What am I doing in life? And as much as possible, I wouldn't wish any of this on any person. And that is where taking a step back at this point in time, even if it's not your ideal situation, I would still advise any young men and women out there that even if it takes an extra year or two, either now or a few years down the line, it'll pay dividends for you to follow what you love, because the external factors around you, they're secondary. You are the driving force, and that was my case internally. That's why I was able to make it work. But that force, that motivation must come from within. And that can only be done with the life and the passions that you have within, and you take that.
You mentioned that the peer group at CS department in NITK and your alumni helped you a lot. It must have been hard when you couldn't get the placements, sit for placements for CS companies as well. How did the peer group and the alumni help you?
So the alumni group and my peers essentially trained me to walk into pretty much any company in India. Your big tech, medium size, small startups, any company of that size. Before my 4th year itself, they had prepped me to the point where I could crack any interview. Such is just the I would like to say the brutality, but in the right choice of words would be the nurturing kind of environment of my seniors and my alumni within the campus. They are the ones who really take you and shape you as engineers within the campus. And so even though I couldn't directly on campus sit for these placements, they had given me that confidence through mock interviews and through a whole lot of teachings that I could just easily take one step out of campus, apply by myself, and make the same thing happen.
So now what's your journey from NITK to now, Amazon?
Okay, so the story goes that I was not able to sit for big tech in like the likes of your Google, Microsoft. I was unable to sit for them purely because I was from a non-core background. So what I ended up doing in this case primarily was I saw the allure of startup.
Yeah.
The startup culture was something that was quite booming at the time, and I thought, it's going to give me a lot more exposure on how business is done and the other aspects revolving around software engineering and actually running a business. I found it quite not entertaining but interesting. So I ended up through campus. I ended up joining a very small startup of around 10-15 employees called Intel Labs, and that was in the account-based advertising domain. And that's where I kind of had my first big start. those small company, they did kind of shape me into a well-rounded engineer, because in a startup things are moving so quickly that one day I'm a back-end engineer, one day I'm a front-end, it's always changed. So that was like an interesting start to my career. Then I switched into a different gear, because so many aspects of engineering outside your typical programming and coding for a software engineer, things along like making a business presentation, talking to customers, making a sell, and all of that were getting me more excited than actually sitting and coding. Because at that point in time, after like 6 or 7 years of coding, that was my comfort zone. But from what everyone told me, that's not enough to make it in life. If you want to start a company of your own or something along those lines in the future, you need to have business acumen and so many other features around you, which is not going to be so obvious or exposed to simply from coding behind a desk. So in that regard, I took a very a bit of a 90-degree turn into a more of a solution engineering role, which is a part engineer, part customer success specialist, part product specialist. So it's a mix of a couple of roles, where I'm someone who talks to customers day in, day out, but applies the technical knowledge within our product to talk to hiring managers and folks along those lines. Some people who have 10-15 years of experience coming to you for guidance. And that really opened my eyes to what lay outside of your bubble of software engineering. It really gives me that perspective. And now, having really fully understood the product-based company approach and strategy, now I feel like I have everything in my arsenal. Now let me just, again, it kind of comes back to brand value in a certain way. So I thought, let's get another brand onto my resume, such that I don't ever have to pick and choose who comes to me and for what salary. I don't want to get into that position. So Amazon looked like a safe bet, considering the kind of work culture I like. And then, the future lay ahead of me. So I'd love to see that.
So Amazon is a great company. It's a good company. And Kindle is a great product.
Mm-hmm.
All the books that we see around will be digitalized in the days ahead. And it's going to change. Nobody's going to, more and more students are going to buy or refer to books on Kindle.
Yeah.
For people who are looking for companies like to work for Amazon, when you talk about a good work culture, what are you looking at?
What I look for is 3 aspects primarily. And this is again coming from being in a couple of jobs. For me, when I started out, it was just about learning and making sure that I am exposed to different kind of environments, and that's something that I've done in the first 3 years of my career.
Yes.
Right now, for me, it's about any company that I do join, it's about career progression, impact to the company, because I want to have more stake in business more than just being able to code, and I'd ideally like to move to management one day. And of course, what pays the bill at the end of the day is the company.
So for the students now, you've laid down pretty much 7 years. The students are just graduating 7 years. How would it look like? It's a lot to take in. Now, for the student who's in 11th and 12th, and he just needs to say, guys, Kapil spoke so much, it's too much for me. What would be your first thing these students should do before processing all that you said?
For anyone who's in 11th and 12th, my advice would be to take every problem in your DPP sheet or every test that you get, whether you like it or not, take the time to solve every single question, no matter how long it takes. I know at this day and age it's very easy for you, after you've got your question paper, go home, search on it on Google or YouTube and get the answer. But that is completely defeating the purpose of even having something like a CFAL. Because how is it any different from your school if though the answers are readily available, where is you in the picture? So my advice would be challenge yourself to apply, make an honest effort for each and every question. And even if you don't get the answer, you've put in an hour or even a day's work, and for whatever reason the topic just eludes you and you're unable to get the answer, then look to your peers and your professors and make learning a habit through practice and through social interactions rather than digital means.
Was there a time when you were in 11th and 12th that you went through a low point? And how did you get through? Because I'm seeing students go through that pretty much 6 to 8 months before the exam.
To be honest, that happened pretty much after every test. There always be that one day when you look at the toppers and your rank, so you'd have that mini low. Sorry, what was the question here?
So you must have gone through a low point.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get over it?
Two aspects. One would be talking to someone who would understand, and that comes from two sources for me personally. One would be my peer group, my friends who are in the same classroom with me. They're going through the same.
True.
Yeah. And especially when you see someone who's typically higher than you, but they are at a low point as well. I typically try to associate or share the pain with them, because there is this bond that is created where all of us are in the same bucket.
Yeah.
And we are going through this journey together.
Yeah.
So the feeling of coming together and making sure that you're not alone, and just finding that solace at that point in time has helped a lot. Because just there can be any topic out of the blue. It may not even be something related to studies, but there's just this moment of connection between our friends group, and we're just talking about something else, which takes your mind off and the edge of something that has been low. So that's number one. And for me personally, I've had very supportive parents. When I say supportive, I don't mean they were not tough on me. They had to be tough. I did slack off from every now and then. So my mom had to put me in my place. I don't regret it, because she is undoubtedly other than CFAL, I would probably say that she's the reason I've come so far. Had it not been her push, on those long nights to go ahead and complete the DPP or apply myself and actually study through, especially when exams were getting closer and closer, it's easy for someone who does not have that guidance to slip away. And you need someone strong, ideally within family. Even if they don't get what you're going through, a bit of tough love goes along.
So Kapil, to end us, are there any sweet memories CFL that you linger on to?
I feel one of my most treasured memories would be sitting through GGP's classes, because he didn't feel like a classroom at all. Like, he just brings this aura about him that you're probably in a conference somewhere and there's this great orator who's giving you lectures, and it never felt like a physics class. So he'd always used to take you in a journey. And whenever I used to come and give these experiences to my mom, like, she would be in awe, like, why don't you write this down? Like, this is good material for me as well. So like, his memories and like just the anecdotes and the examples that he used to bring, it's just that he had that flair which I feel like is just so characteristic. I haven't even come across even in NITK or even in
It's got a great sense of humor as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Kapil.
My pleasure.
I'm so glad that again you come back sharing your experience with the students. Wishing you the very best. And I hope you come back again more successful and again talk to the students at CFAL.
Hope so in the future. And to everyone out there, all the best, and Godspeed.
Thank you.